Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of the Fintech Hunting Podcast. We have a very special guest for you today. He is an industry thought leader, a technology evangelist with deep expertise in go-to-market transformation and growth. Please help me welcome to the show, Paul Loftus, CEO of Loan Vision. Paul, it's great to have you.
Michael, it's great to be here and welcome back from the ICE conference. And we're excited to have this chat today.
Absolutely. Well, I love talking to industry thought leaders. Had the chance to do that at ICE, and I couldn't be more excited to talk to you. Let's dive right in because you have such good insights about profitability and what's taking place. Just saw the NBA came out with a report. IMBs lost again. I don't know, it was $40, $50 per loan for fourth quarter of 2024. Give me some of your insights on the market and what do we need to do to start getting back to profitability?
Yeah, Michael, I think the trend continues. Unfortunately, it's not a trend that any of us are overly pleased with. And as we wait to see some recovery in the market, this is still the opportune time. I feel like I'm an evangelist and standing on a pulpit saying we've got to change the way we're doing things in this market. We will continue to follow the ebbs and flows of so many things that are out of our control, whether that be regulatory, whether that be political, who's in office, who isn't. We follow the ebbs and flows of the market, and I think the only way that I know and that I'm seeing from our customers is really digging in deep into our processes and procedures and adding or augmenting technology where appropriate to help better lower your overall cost of operating. And I think as you look at that carefully, you augmented technology where appropriate and process improvements is really the only way that you can try to reduce that overall cost to try to get those numbers down to make you more profitable.
Well, and I think you just said one of those key phrases, right, to get the numbers down. And I think one of the things that I have seen is a number of lenders struggle with really understanding their numbers. How can technology play a role as you're looking at the process improvement and in creating greater efficiency? How can technology play a role in bringing greater awareness to those numbers so that you know where to spend your time and resources?
I mean, there's no silver bullet in technology. Technology without process is just technology. Technology with process improvement is profitability. And I think as you think about, our tagline is the insights you need in the software you trust. And I think it's providing and shining a light on the dark areas of our business, starting with top tiering your associates, looking at the cost that it takes to produce a loan, looking at fallout. There's so many of these numbers that have only almost become industry acceptable numbers
Right,
that, quite
unfortunately.
frankly, in other financial services would be unacceptable. And so I think we have to take a hard look at the way we've always done it and start to ask ourselves the tough questions.
Well, and I think asking those tough questions, one of the other main problems in the industry is historically, if rates are low, we throw bodies at it. When rates rise, we cut people instead of really focusing on that process improvement and understanding what we need to do to restore profitability. And to your point, we've kind of accepted it. I think, unfortunately, some people were cheering that it was only a $40 or a $50 loss per loan. That's totally unacceptable. So as we talk technology, and I love how you said if you just have technology for technology's sake, you're wasting a lot of money. It's not improving it. You got to understand where it applies to the process. How does that involve innovation and AI? Where do those two come into helping bring down some of those costs and still move the needle forward?
I just had a conversation with my sales team, and I said, if you are not shining a bright light on the darkest areas of our customers' business, you're not going to be valuable or relevant to them right now. We have to be looking at all ways that process improvement and technology can help in getting more efficient, closing the book sooner, right? Lesser of a fallout. Identifying how quickly we can do that and getting those numbers rectified quickly. I think AI plays a big role in our future. As you know, we host an innovation conference each year. And I told my team last year, I said, if we're not talking AI, it's not an innovation conference.
Right.
Um, there's so many areas of the mortgage process that are repeatable and that should be looked at as repeatable. That's where we're starting, right? You don't have to, where you place AI or where start to look at AI. It's really around things that, the lowest hanging fruit is where things are repeatable, where you have consistency. That's where we're looking right now, whether that's around reconciliation, which our industry is plagued with reconciliation issues, especially on the accounting side. So there's areas that I think is appropriate. Again, I'm very careful as kind of being a technologist and in this in technology my whole entire career. I'm very careful with saying technology solved all problems. I used to have a boss that would say, "Don't pave the cow path." And the analogy is simple. Don't, the cows will go to the water and come back and go to the water and come back. You want a straight A to B line. And so process and change management in our process is just as critical of augmenting with AI and with any type of technology.
Well, and I think the better you understand that process and where are the dark areas, as you've said, then you can start looking at, well, where can I add AI to that specific function? I think too many people get overwhelmed by AI and they think, I've got to install AI and it's going to impact every area of my business instantly, and they set themselves up to fail. At ICE, I spoke on a panel about AI, and they talked about find the wins, right? Find the areas, the low hanging fruit first, start developing that AI muscle and start learning from, okay, how do we start using and leveraging our data better? How do we streamline and improve processes to save time and to save money? We've got to get back to profitability. What are some of the other innovations that you see as we start talking about process improvement? Is there any other areas that you see innovation playing a role?
Well, I'm going to go back to what you said in about AI solving the problems, if you don't mind, before we go
Sure.
into that. And the reason I say this is I've been giving the advice to people who are scared of AI, who don't even know where to start. Because I know you just did a speaking engagement on AI, and we still have the world that's embracing AI and then the world that's like, I don't even know where to start. And my encouragement to anyone who's listening to this or anyone who's thinking about AI and doesn't know really a lot about it or where to start with ChatGPT. Start going to it once a day. I've encouraged everyone. My wife now is going to it once a day as a real estate agent. And she's like, and the reason I say that is because that will allow you to start thinking about how process improvement even take place, right? It's really hard to look at your process and go, oh, I see all these areas we can fix it. But if you start seeing what even something as simple as Chat GPT, not saying Chat GPT is simple, but something as simple of using that each day, hey, instead of crafting this email from scratch, I'm going to go in and just give a couple bullets and see what comes out. You're going to start to understand the impact that this type of technology can have on all facets of our life. It is that much of a game changer, but it's so hard to understand it if you've never really seen it in its most simplistic form.
That is such a good point. I was having breakfast at that conference, sitting with a number of lenders, and we were kind of going around the room. And I was asking about AI, and one of them's like, "Oh, we're starting to use it with our appraisal process." I look at the next two, and they just kind of stared at me, and they looked at me, and they're like, "Well, we haven't done anything." I'm like, "Well, have you ever tried chat?" No. And to your point, if you don't start embracing it yourself and figuring out what do some of the tools do, you're never going to be able to start solving the problems within the organization. So I think that's a great tip. have your employees embrace AI. Yes, you've got to have some guardrails and you've got to have some, rules of how you want them to use it. But if they don't start using it individually and personally, it's going to be very difficult for them to start rolling that out throughout the organization. I think that's such a good point.
It's an iterative learning experience, I think. And I think if you start it with yourself and your daily life, you're going to start to naturally see where things don't make sense. So I think you heard me, back at the LVIC, our innovation conference. I talked about I play this game with my kids, and it's called it's as we're driving through the car in the car, and we're driving through the neighborhoods or whatever. My kids say things that look archaic, like telephone wires, or, like, Dad, why do we have to plug things in, right? And they're seeing it through this lens that sometimes I don't even see it, right?
Right.
I drive by telephone wires all the time, and I go, that is kind of archaic in a world that we're living in today. So it's hard to see what's right in front of your face, if you're not aware of how to uncover it. And I think this will help.
Excellent points, Paul. And we're talking technology. You're giving a lot of great thought leadership principles, but I would be remiss. Tell me a little bit about, I know you're being very humble, but tell me a little bit about some of the things that Lone Vision is working on and where are some of the big gains that you're getting for your clients?
Oh, I mean, it would be hard not to just start with our new launch of our product called LV Comp, which is a new compensation tool with a full LO portal. We saw a need both in the market at our innovation conference. The customers came to us and said, we need a solution around compensation. It seems silly that we have the GL with you, and there's obviously quite great ties, and why don't you have a tool that we believe has a front end, a portal for loan officers to easily access, and be able to get clear access and insight into their comp. Comp drives behavior. Nothing drives more behavior than in the mortgage space than the almighty dollar. So we've just launched the LV Comp. We're super excited about it. It's embedded within our core offering, and we just have it's taken off like crazy. And we're going to be announcing here just shortly a partnership for accounts payable and expense management, also embedded within our LV. So our job is to solve the problems of our customers even before they share them with us. And I'm pretty excited about what we're bringing to the market, and all under one roof. We're trying to get deeper into anything that touches the loan level, anything that touches the loan, all back office. We want to automate and streamline to reduce that cost that really isn't part of your core of what you're delivering to your customers, but is all the back end office stuff that we need. So getting under that umbrella and having a comprehensive solution through LV Comp, through our LV AP and expense management tool that's coming soon. We're excited about just solving the problems that have been on the horizon for a while in our industry, and lowering that cost to make it easier to make yourself profitable.
Well, and I think one of the keys that I hear from you when we talk innovation is it's not technology just for technology's sake. You're actually focusing that technology on solving those pain points, solving those issues of your clients. I love how you said even before they know that it's problematic. And that's what innovation should be about. It's not just about creating some cool widget, some cool plugin, some cool AI tools. It's about solving those problems, and the problems that you solve directly relate to lowering cost and improving profitability. If somebody wants to find out more about all the tools that you have, what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Lonevision.com, or obviously reach out to me, paul.loftus at lonevision.com. Happy to answer any questions. Super thrilled to be on this podcast today, and your reach and what you're doing to the industry, as I just shared with you through one of your videos, podcasts last week or earlier this week. I reached out to the person you interviewed, and we have a meeting on Friday. So you're connecting and doing great things, Michael. Keep going. We love your voice and the impact you're making on the industry.
Well, I appreciate that. And I have one more question. We've talked about innovation. We talked about your conference, and I love what you guys are doing. I had the pleasure of speaking at it last year. You guys do everything first rate, first class, attention to detail. You have another one coming up, I believe, this September. Tell us a little bit about the conference.
I mean, our goal is to be the most impactful innovation conference in the mortgage space. And we are not going to quit until we do. We bring the who's who of speakers. We bring the deep intelligence and insights that we feel are most relevant for the space, both in an executive track and what we call kind of a controller or user track. We're focused on being that industry leader that is a partner, not a vendor. And we've been making that evolution the last few years. And I think what you will find is an incredible networking environment, but also deep, deep insights into what's happening in the space and how we can improve to become ultimately more profitable.
Exactly. Well, I look forward to seeing you again in Atlanta this year in September. You guys do a fantastic job. And Paul, I can't thank you enough for sharing your time, your expertise, and your wisdom to our audience. Thank you for being a guest on this episode of the Fintech Hunting Podcast.
Thank you, Michael.